Look, I've confessed. I'm a religious believer. Admirer of capitalism. A sexual pervert. What more do you want?
Don't worry, Winston. You're in my keeping. For 7 years, I've watched over you. Now the turning point has come. I shall save you. I shall make you perfect.
A specter is haunting America. The specter of socialism, corruption, and the deep state. America is divided. Capitalism or socialism? Free markets or state control? Innovation and wealth creation, or stagnation and poverty? They have a dream, a socialist dream, where we are strangers in our own land. In 2018, I began to work on my new book, United States of Socialism. I saw socialism threatening to take over America for the first time in our history. Socialism allied with the police agencies of the government, the so-called deep state. I experienced it firsthand. Hello?
Is this Mr. Dinesh D'Souza?
Yes, it is.
Please hold for the President of the United States.
Hey, Dinesh, I'm calling about your case. I gotta tell you, I knew it was complete bullshit.
Dinesh D'Souza was indicted on federal charges of violating campaign finance laws.
Conservative filmmaker and author Dinesh D'Souza is the latest victim to be targeted by the Obama White House, and he's also the man behind the anti-Obama documentary 2016.
All rise. It is my judgment that he be locked up overnight for 8 months in a community confinement center. 5 years probation. Mr. D'Souza is required to do community service every week for 8 hours for 5 years. And he is to participate in weekly therapeutic counseling. We are adjourned.
Well, I'm in the position to fix it, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm giving you a pardon in the morning.
Oh my gosh, I don't know what to say. Thank you.
I want you to have your life back. You've been a great voice for freedom in America. Now just go out there and be an even bigger voice.
I will. Thank you, Mr. President. President Trump reminded me of why I first came to America.
And I also recognize that in America, there was such a thing as an American dream. India doesn't have a dream. No other country has a dream. But this American dream is a dream not just of economic opportunity or success, but it's ultimately a dream where you can be the architect of your own destiny. America is a country where you can be in the driver's seat of your own life, in which your destiny is not given to you, it is constructed by you.
I see a movement that threatens the very reason I came to this country. It threatens everyone's American dream.
The DSA is the Democratic Socialists of America. Socialism. It's starting to get more popular in America.
We are unstoppable! Another world is possible!
We have to say yes to socialism, to the word and everything.
This is clearly the future.
Democratic socialism.
What's the difference?
We got an early glimpse of what this socialist dream looks like during the coronavirus shutdown.
We as a church were in danger if we met.
I'm just preaching the word of God, and look at all these police cars here.
We will shut you down, we will cite you, and if we need to, we will arrest you.
A Tampa Bay pastor has been arrested for violating coronavirus social distancing rules.
Public health and safety groups are turning to drones to monitor public spaces and enforce social distancing rules.
And I'm starting to feel like I'm in a communist country.
There are powerful people in politics, in the media, and in Hollywood who want America to become the United States of socialism. And if you disagree, they'll beat you into submission.
My hands are being put in handcuffs. My ankles are shacked.
In a period of 18 months, I went through 23 different audits or investigations.
29 FBI agents with assault weapons and hand grenades. I had a battering ram to smash in my front door.
They even tried to overturn the 2016 election. A deep state cabal involving the FBI, the Justice Department, and the Obama White House set its sights on former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn until their plot was exposed.
So you think this goes all the way up to the top to President Obama?
Absolutely.
Is this true? No president has ever tried to frame and entrap his successor. There are millions of Americans standing in the way of socialism and the deep state. And they have a trump card.
America will never be a socialist country.
He's a fighter with a peculiar talent for tagging his opponents.
Sleepy Joe, Mini Mike, Crooked Hillary, Crazy Bernie,
Crying Chuck with Shifty Shift.
Nervous Nancy.
I think you should let me run the country.
It's a lot easier to act presidential than to do what I do. Anybody can act president.
He understands that what's at stake is the American dream itself.
We are Americans. We are pioneers. We are the pathfinders. We settled the new world. We built the modern world. And we change history forever by embracing the eternal truth that everyone is made equal by the hand of Almighty God.
Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of rain, for purple mountain majesties.
We are in a cold civil war, one that reminds us of the crisis that Abraham Lincoln faced. In 1861, the founder of the Republican Party, Abraham Lincoln, boarded a train in Springfield, Illinois, making multiple stops on his way to Washington, D.C. Historians say that Lincoln, the president-elect, wanted to let the American people check him out. I think he was checking them out. He was trying to find out if they were ready for the tough days ahead.
A house divided against itself cannot stand. I believe this government cannot endure permanently half slave and half free.
Today, America is also divided. One party wants to keep the founding principles, the other party wants to move in a socialist direction. Which path is better? In the 19th century, America went from being a poor agricultural society to being the leader of the Industrial Revolution and the richest country in the world. Lincoln wanted to protect the America that was founded on free market principles, property rights, contracts, and trade. He credited America's success to the political architecture of the founding. Of the patent laws, he said,
they added the fuel of interest to the fire of genius in the discovery and production of new and useful things.
While the American Revolution was the most successful revolution ever made, the Soviet Revolution, the revolution that brought socialism into the world, was disastrous. The death toll of socialism is almost unimaginable. Over 100 million casualties. Half of humanity bore Marx's imprint. I remember socialism from my childhood. The monthly ration card needed to buy rice and cooking oil. My family was on a 7-year waiting list just to get a phone. Socialism deprived 3 generations of people around the world of their birthright. And then another Republican president changed all of that.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Ronald Reagan led America and the world in defeating socialist totalitarianism. Eastern Europe revolted. The USSR was forced to give up its political ideology, communism, and its economic ideology, socialism. Russia still has major problems, but it's better off. India, too, is doing better.
India has had a kind of an evolution away from socialism. And some of you remember, your parents probably told you when you were younger, listen, Johnny, you better eat your food because there are millions of starving people in India. Now, interestingly, you probably don't say that to your kids. In fact, what you probably say to your kids is something more like this. Johnny, you better study really hard because there are millions of Indians waiting to take your job.
China is also doing better.
China has done a better job in wiping out desperate levels of poverty over, a 30, 40-year period than any country in history.
What the socialist Bernie Sanders forgets to add is that China did this by getting rid of socialism. But China held on to its communist political system. Its one-party state controls the lives of 1 billion people. This is also the regime that unleashed the coronavirus pandemic.
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus?
It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China.
In response to Chinese tyranny, the people of Hong Kong are singing a different tune.
Socialism is the most discredited idea in the world after slavery. We don't have a major party, certainly not in the United States, that says, the thing about slavery, guys, is it was a really good idea. The implementation was always poor. This time, we're going to do slavery right. Nobody says that. You can't say that. You would be immediately carried out in a straitjacket. But with socialism, people do say that.
Socialists appear to be a little silly. Check out Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
It's funny you asked this because I was just reading today about how Milton Keynes, a famous economist back...
There's economist Milton Friedman, there's economist John Maynard Keynes, but there's no Milton Keynes. She can't even get the guy's name right.
Is anyone else on the stage concerned about having a Democratic Socialist at the top of the Democratic ticket?
Even so, we have to take socialism seriously. Socialism is no longer on the fringe.
Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
It has now captured the leadership of the Democratic Party and entered the political and cultural mainstream. First, they insist that capitalism may be efficient, but it's profoundly unjust.
There's plenty of money in this world. There's plenty of money in this country. It's just in the wrong hands.
The old capitalism is gone. The new capitalism is a cruel and evil system.
That ideology is not sustainable and cannot be redeemed.
We have a grotesque and immoral distribution of wealth and income.
Second, who says that socialism doesn't work? It works right now in Scandinavia and all across Europe. The American left wants the successful socialism of Scandinavia, not the failed socialism of Venezuela.
I think we should look to countries like Denmark, like Sweden, and Norway.
Third, the left today advocates identity socialism, a marriage between classic socialism and identity politics.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Our country should be more fearful of white man.
But the thing of it is, the blue wave is African American. Yeah! It's white, it's Latino, it's Asian Pacific Islander. Yes! It is disabled. It is differently abled. Yes. It is LGBTQ. Yes. It is made up of those who've been told that they are not worthy of being here. Yes. It is comprised of those who are documented and undocumented. Yes.
For Marx, socialism was about class division. But for Democrats today, the division in society isn't just between the capitalists and the workers. It's also about whites versus blacks, males versus females, straight versus gay, legal versus illegal. Fourth, the left rejects the authoritarian socialism of Lenin, Stalin, and Mao. It prefers democratic socialism. They want the same democracy that we have in the political arena to extend to the economic arena.
Socialism is everybody has a seat at the table and everybody gets a slice of the pie.
Emphasis in democratic socialism is on democracy.
We need to make the moral case for capitalism and show that its rewards are just. We need to expose the Scandinavian illusion. We must discredit identity socialism on its own terms. We need to show that socialism, even democratic socialism, inevitably leads to misery and tyranny. More than anything else, what defines the socialist left is the promise of free stuff.
Free.
Free. They should be free.
They will receive $500 a month.
$1,000 a month.
Child care for all working families.
Cancel student loan debt.
Free college.
Tuition free.
Medicare for all.
Any doctor they want, any hospital they want.
When the socialists say free, what they mean is someone else is going to pay. The left justifies robbing Peter to pay Paul with the concept of majority rule. But the very idea that a majority, even a democratic majority, can seize our money is unjust. Should 51% of Americans have the right to take away your possessions? Whether it's a socialist dictator or a socialist majority that takes your stuff, either way, you're being robbed. And then we have the Green New Deal.
The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change.
I think it is the existential threat to humanity.
You know that movie, The Day After Tomorrow? It's today.
No challenge poses a greater threat to future generations than climate change.
Great news, because the Obamas
are officially Martha's Vineyard residents. They just bought a 6,900 square foot home for $11.75 million.
And here's the Biden's beach house in Rehoboth Beach. Clearly, they don't think the coast will be underwater. What's the point of this racket? It's to exploit the politics of fear to get us to agree to things that we wouldn't otherwise. Just like with coronavirus.
What's the opportunity, to your question, for reimagining a more progressive era as it relates to capitalism?
Only in America does the president, when the president tweets about liberation, does he mean go back to work? I think a lot of people should just say, no, we're not going back to that.
The best thing going for the socialist agenda is the moral anxiety about capitalism. Does capitalism allocate rewards fairly? The uniqueness of capitalism is that it's based on entrepreneurs who take chances. The test case we've chosen just happens to be the President of the United States. For most of his career, he was the quintessential capitalist. The entrepreneur's psychology is different than most. You can see this from an incident in the 1990s when Trump was deeply in debt.
Anything else? There you go, sir. God bless.
Isn't that just so sad?
He's a beggar, but he's worth about 900 million more than me.
The deepest critique of what capitalists actually do comes from Marx. In his view, capitalists supply only capital. Other than that, they do nothing. Therefore, a company's profits belong entirely to its workers. Is Marx right? Let's consider one of Trump's earliest deals. The starting point of Donald Trump's career, he writes in his best-known book, The Art of the Deal, was his realization of his own ambition.
My father did very well building low-income buildings in Queens and Brooklyn, but I didn't want to be in the same business as him. I wanted Manhattan. I was out to build something monumental. This was the 70s, and the city was in the dumps. But where people saw crisis, I saw opportunity. I knew 4 hotels for sale. The 4th was in big trouble. The Commodore Hotel had been losing money for years. Nobody wanted to touch it. But I saw a superb location. Millions of affluent people pass by the location every day. The problem was the hotel, not the location. Because the hotel was a loser, I was able to negotiate the price down to $10 million. At 27, did I have 10 million? No. Did I know how to run a hotel? No, but I had a vision. With my option to buy the Commodore in hand, which didn't cost me a cent, I sold my vision to Hyatt. I'd build it, they'd run it. Now that I had the option and the top hotel chain in the country, it was time to find the money for the hotel and the renovations. I went to my father. He refused to believe I was serious. So, with my option to buy the Commodore, I went to the banks, many of them. People fought me on the renovation, saying we could save millions by just refurbishing the old Commodore. But why put lipstick on a pig? No, this place needs to be an event. I even got pushback on replacing the historical brick with highly reflective glass. By choosing this glass, I've created 4 walls of mirrors. Now, when you go across 42nd Street and look up at the Grand Hyatt, you see Grand Central, the Chrysler Building, and all the other landmarks this city has to offer. New York City, the Hyatt. then banks, and myself all benefited from my deal.
What's the drive, Donald, that you don't have to do this anymore, that keeps you wanting to build more and more?
It's a creative process, Larry, and it really gives you something to do with your life, and it's something that you can feel fulfilled and proud of when you're finished, if you do a good job.
So the one thing that Marx said capitalists provide, namely capital, they typically don't provide. The other things that capitalists do provide, vision, organization, assumption of risk, marketing, Marx ignored completely.
So no one ever makes $1 billion. You take $1 billion.
The most successful entrepreneurs don't just supply wants and needs, they anticipate them. Nobody wrote a letter to Steve Jobs telling him to make a phone that would do email and take photographs, play music, and show movies. He invented it and built it before we knew we couldn't live without it. This is capitalism's trump card. It encourages creativity and empathy and then puts them at the service of the wants and needs of people. The inequality the socialist left despises isn't created by entrepreneurs. It's created by us. The proud boast of democratic socialism is that it puts the people in charge of the economy. What control do you have over the post office or the DMV? We vote in elections every 2 or 4 years, but as consumers, we exercise our choices daily, directly through the market. The free market is far more reflective of popular consent than democratic socialism. We don't have to extend democracy from the political to the economic sphere because we already have it. Capitalism, not socialism, is the true form of social justice.
Black, trans, and cis women, femmes, gender nonconforming and non-binary folk.
Gender fluid.
Z, here.
Bigender.
Zim, zer.
Agender.
Intersectionality.
We turn to identity socialism, which aims to create a majority coalition of victims based on sexual orientation, gender, and race. Should our politics be determined by our skin color and our sex organs?
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome comedian and political activist, Terrence K. Williams.
First stop, Black Americans.
I was in the White House. That's called black privilege.
I was born in Oklahoma City. I actually grew up in foster care. My mother, she was a single mother. She had 9 children. There were 6 different fathers, and she was addicted to cocaine.
You're natural fodder for the Democratic Party. How did they lose you?
When I was Democrat, I felt like the world owed me everything. You owe me this, you owe me that. Oh, I'm not working for that. But I figured out not working for stuff, you won't get nothing. So I lost that mentality very quick because I realized that if you want something, you have to go out there and get it.
Where did you learn the idea that despite your hardships and circumstances, this is America and this is a place where if you've got something to offer, you can make it? Who taught you that?
Miss Solomon, she was one of my foster parents. She taught me that you can be anything in this country as long as you get up and believe in yourself and stop blaming the world for everything and making excuses.
Don't nobody owe you nothing. I don't owe you nothing. I don't owe you nothing. You know who owe you something? You owe yourself.
You're a very successful guy. Say a few words, please.
Thank you, President Trump. Thank you. Yeah, this is a little too tall for me. First of all, I just want to say I love President Donald J. Trump.
Now, it seems that you don't just like Trump, you love Trump.
I love President Donald J. Trump. He didn't get the majority of the black vote, and he still won. So he could have got in office and decided, you know, I'm not going to do anything for the black community because they all didn't vote for me. But you know what? It wasn't about that.
Where do you think we are in this country in racial politics?
Martin Luther King's dream was for simply his black children could play at the playground with white children, could eat at the same table as white children, and we are there now.
Do you think that for the left, division is a political weapon?
Especially when it comes to black people. Because if they control the black community, they control the black vote.
Cada votante necesitamos la representación. Este presidente ha atacado, ha demonizado.
Next up, Hispanics. For the left, it's all about the illegals.
I'm going to, once again, legalize all the DACA students. These DACA students are more Americans than most Americans are.
Why would he say that? Illegals can't vote, but the Democrats want legal Hispanics who can vote to believe Trump is anti-Hispanic and anti-immigrant. Not all Hispanics are buying it.
Please give a warm welcome to my friend, Rick Figueroa.
I discussed this with a prominent Mexican-American businessman and activist, Rick Figueroa.
My mom worked 36 years in a hospital kitchen. She's my hero. She personified to me the American dream. She was the one that instilled principles in us.
What were they?
Get your butt out of bed and go to work. Number 2 is don't expect anybody to help you. Number 3 is you help others when you can. Number 4 is you pray every day. Number 5 is you find a good woman and you marry her. Number 6 is you raise godly kids. And number 7 is you honor God in everything you do.
The principles that your mom outlined seem very congruent with what the Republican Party stands for.
These things are established in the Hispanic communities well before Republicans decided to believe in them.
What comes to mind when you hear the word socialism?
Fear. Capitalism gave me the opportunity, created a lane. I don't see that in socialism. Where I am, coming from the barrio of Bay City, government housing, youngest of 8, there was nothing exceptional academically about me, but there was a constant hunger to do more and want more. My goal was to have a house with central air and heat. Then we had that. Then I wanted a little bigger house. Then I wanted a family, and I wanted a yard for my kids to play in, and I wanted them to go to college, and I wanted my wife and I to retire. The lane was created by capitalism to do that.
A Democrat would say, but Rick, wouldn't you have felt better along the way if you had known, hey, I'll have my college paid for, I'll have free health care? Why would you rather not have driven in that lane?
My son, I tell him to go feed the cows. And they always whine about feeding cows. Dad's too cold, it's too hot, I don't want to feed the cows. When he had his own cow, I never heard him complain one bit about it because it was his cow. When something's given to you, you don't appreciate it. I think you typically just take it for granted.
The Latino community embodies the pioneering spirit of America. We're a nation that loves adventure, and you love adventure, that celebrates risk-taking and that embraces faith and family as the true center of American life.
Next stop, women. On the surface, this is about protecting women and the Me Too movement.
Brett's assault on me drastically altered my life.
Christine Blasey Ford had a different agenda.
He will always have an asterisk next to his name. When he takes a scalpel to Roe v. Wade, we will know who he is, we know his character, and we know what motivates him, and that is important. It is important that we know, and that was part of what motivated Christine.
For them, too, it's all about abortion. It's all about protecting Roe v. Wade. In the Church of Gender Identity Politics, abortion has become the ultimate sacrament. My daughter Danielle is the author of the forthcoming book, The Choice: The Abortion Divide in America. How radical are the Democrats on this issue today?
You can be 9 months pregnant, dilating, going into labor, and get an abortion. And the Democrats really celebrate that.
New York passing a sweeping abortion law, allowing many abortions up until the day of the baby's birth.
They lit up the One World Trade Center pink to celebrate this as women's empowerment, women's freedom, abortion is health care.
How do we know that the contents of a woman's womb are, you might say, not her own?
I'm in my 20s, so I see my friends, let's say, post on social media that they're pregnant, or they'll post a photo of their ultrasound. People will comment on it. And so we can see that when you step outside of the abortion debate, you can see that everyone knows that it's a child. They know that, oh, look, it's a family of 3 now. So only when you go into the abortion debate do people say, oh, no, this is a cluster of cells. But the reality of what it means to be pregnant is with child. Even if you look at first trimester abortions, the baby has a head, a nose, a face, fingers, toes, a heartbeat, and we also know that it even feels pain because it secretes things like cortisol, hormones that we also secrete when we're under duress.
Should my right to life be dependent on whether I am a wanted child or not?
Your human rights are intrinsic. Your value comes from the fact that you're a human being. And I think we should all be able to support basic human rights, which is the right to life, the right literally just to be born.
My body, my choice. My body, my choice. My body, my choice.
What about the right to choose?
My choice ends at the point where it reaches you. The left likes to talk about pro-choice, and the choice to do what? And that is the choice to kill. It's the choice to take another's life, a life that is not your own.
Next, sexual orientation. We've had gays, lesbians, and bisexuals for centuries. What's new is that this has now become an ideology. I spoke with Scott Pressler, a gay conservative who organizes cleanups in major cities.
Making Baltimore beautiful. That was the goal as trash cleanup efforts continued today in West Baltimore.
Conservative activist Scott Pressler put the all call on his social media. There is a common thread among many of the volunteers.
Scott, here we are in downtown Houston. It's the black neighborhood, it's a brown neighborhood. What are you, a white, gay conservative, doing here?
I feel a responsibility. I'm a private citizen. You know, we don't need the big government to do this. I'm going to come in, do the job that deep democratic cities like Houston haven't been doing, and sweep up trash in an act of love.
What cities have you been to?
Well, we started in Baltimore City, and we picked up 29 tons of trash. Then we went to Los Angeles, California, and picked up 50 tons of trash. We went to Chicago on 63rd Street, dangerous territory.
Now, trash is a symbol for a lot that's gone wrong in these neighborhoods, right? Broken families, high crime rates, terrible schools. A lot of money has been spent to fix these places up. Why do you think they've never gotten fixed?
I think, quite frankly, the Democrats don't want to solve the problem because they want to be the solution. And look at what we're doing. Private citizens coming together, putting on our work boots, rolling up our sleeves, and doing the work ourselves.
The conservative philosophy.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you feel comfortable calling yourself a gay conservative?
I'm a bleeding heart conservative who happens to be gay. I don't let my identity define me. So the Democrats have created this game of identity politics, and they have the oppression Olympics, where if you're not black or gay or a woman or disabled, then it's almost like you don't exist. I came out as gay after the Pulse nightclub terrorist attack. I want to make sure that the people coming into our country don't want to murder me. I feel like that's a pretty low bar to set, don't you think?
Pressler's fear points to a dangerous element of identity socialism, the connection to radical Islam. International businessman Alan Bender has told us he has the inside scoop on radical Islam's sinister scheme for America.
Are you a Muslim?
I am a secular Muslim. I'm married to a Christian.
And you're based in Canada. You're a member of the Liberal Party. You have been what could be loosely called in the Middle East a fixer.
Canadian-based businessman Alan Bender, seen here to the right of Walid bin Talal, who Mr. Bender represented in settlement negotiations.
I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the configuration of politics in the Middle East.
The Iranian regime actually believes that there is no coexistence with America. The path of the Islamic Sharia is the only way. And that leads to a clash between the pro-American states in the Gulf region and the Iranian regime. The Iranian government controls the government of Qatar. The Iranians don't pay So they use Qatari money to pay whomever they need to pay.
Now, you have had some experiences which I think remarkably suggest that not only are the Iranians and the Qataris trying to influence the politics of the Middle East over there, but they're actually trying to influence American politics over here.
During my meetings with the top officials in Qatar to discuss potential major investments in North America, and they reiterated the fact that they produce more gas and oil than any other country in the region. They don't really need the return on their investments. However, their investments in North America is a powerful weapon to influence the elections and see to it that the outcome will fit the Iranian interest.
Which is to defeat Trump.
To defeat Trump. They said, we are looking forward to the defeat of Trump. And then we will see the first Friday prayer taking place in the White House as a symbol of our victory and the rise of the Muslim Brotherhood.
Her name is Ilhan Omar. She's a former refugee from Somalia. She's a Muslim American, and she is now the Minnesota State House Representative.
What did the Qataris tell you about her?
They refer to her as Sister Ilhan, and to them, she is the jewel of their political crown. And they told me face to face that they financed her, heavily financed her, and they groomed her. And they said, you don't need to worry about skeletons being found because the media will bury it. We've seen more than 6 different scandals involving Ilhan Omar. Nobody investigated her.
Campaign finance violations, for example.
Exactly.
How do they control her?
Her weakness, money and sex.
How do they actually use their financial leverage to either influence or control people like Ilhan Omar?
America is a country of law and rules. We do it indirectly, and there are always loopholes that allows us to get through. I actually brought up, what about the media? He said, I think we're almost at the top of controlling that. And we have a lot of journalists who are on our payroll.
You're actually saying that these Islamic governments are making direct monetary payments to members of the mainstream media?
Correct.
These are not remote figures, but people in mainstream institutions?
That is correct.
What you're saying is that there is serious Middle Eastern and specifically radical Islamic intervention coming from abroad into U.S. politics.
Exactly. And I think it's more dangerous than the so-called Russian collusion.
But doesn't identity socialism and radical Islam make strange bedfellows? I raised the question with Imam Muhammad Tawhidi.
Any Islamist will tell you that America is the enemy of Islam. They're chanting death to America every single day. I did it for 7 years. Death to America, death to Israel.
What is the fundamentalist and jihadi agenda for America?
The future of America has to be Muslim.
So here's a paradox. In America, we have a political left. It's a progressive left. As you know, it's sexually permissive. And this political movement appears strangely allied with radical Islam. Can you explain this?
When I was an extremist, Islamist, fundamentalist, I would only vote left.
Why is that?
I saw them as very stupid. I would fear the conservatives because they come with principle. That's not someone they can brainwash. But the left, I know they have no values and no principles to begin with. I dare you to find one Islamic extremist that votes for Donald Trump. Never do it. They'd give their vote to the leftist who wants to run around in pride parades. And Islamic extremists are against gays and homosexuals and transgenders, but they want the left to go and get busy with that. They want them, go speak about the climate, go speak about abortion, go kill yourselves, go do that. Ilhan Omar, she's fighting for abortion rights, and all the other, my body, my choice, yes, go do that, But would she have an abortion? Never. Never. Would she kill a Muslim in her stomach? Never.
What's your take on her?
Fundamentalist, extremist, Islamist, jihadi ideology, a threat to national security, ISIS with lipstick.
And would it be fair to say that what Ilhan Omar wants is for all of America to look like her community?
Without a doubt. Firstly, the Muslims in Ilhan Omar's district are more radical than radicals in the Middle East.
New report by Congress says more than 250 Americans have attempted to join ISIS. 1 in 4 is from Minnesota, many of them former refugees.
Do you feel more comfortable living under American law, or do you feel more comfortable living under Sharia law?
Sharia law. I'm a Muslim, I prefer Sharia law.
You prefer Sharia law over American law?
Of course, yeah.
What's the relationship between radical Islam and socialism in America?
Votes and common interest.
The Muslims are delivering the votes through their leaders.
Yes.
And what do the socialists and the progressive left give in exchange?
They give them a platform. They give them the media. They protect them.
If we have Islamic domination, which is the goal, as you suggest, will Americans become strangers in their own country?
Americans who have values, who believe in freedom of speech, freedom of belief, freedom of religion, Americans who want to raise their families as Christians, they will feel as strangers.
Treason, division, and the politics of fear and exclusion. This is their socialist dream for America. So what is the left's blueprint for socialism?
And my policies most closely resemble what we see in Norway, in Finland, in Sweden.
But it may be better to consult an actual expert, former Danish Prime Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen.
I know that some people in the US associate the Nordic model with some sort of socialism. Therefore, I would like to make one thing clear. Denmark is far from a socialist planned economy. Denmark is a market economy.
The major political parties from the center-left and the center-right would oppose many of the proposals of Bernie Sanders.
Scandinavian countries are capitalist in wealth creation, but socialist in wealth distribution. For Swedish historian Johan Norberg,
it's really not a way of taking from the rich and giving to the poor, which is the perspective or the hope of many American and European intellectuals when they look at the tax levels in Sweden. What we do instead is that we tax consumption. We have a 25% VAT consumption tax in Sweden, which means that the poor pay the highest proportion of that.
the Scandinavians don't soak the rich, they soak the whole society. Scandinavia is not the left's real model. So what is?
I now pronounce you man and wife.
Where did Bernie go for his honeymoon? Stockholm? No, Moscow.
You know, it's funny, sometimes American journalists talk about how bad a country is because people are lining up for food. That's a good thing.
Where did Michael Moore go to champion healthcare? Copenhagen? No, Havana.
The Cuban people have free, universal health care. They become known around the world as having one of the best healthcare systems.
This is not a normal Cuban hospital. This is.
This is the emergency room?
Yeah.
Doctor, how old are these syringes? That thing looks like it's from the last century. Do you have sufficient facilities to sterilize all these old syringes?
No.
Most of your shelves have nothing.
Nothing.
The hospital in Moore's movie is only for foreigners who can pay and elite members of the Cuban regime. So Moore is colluding with the Cuban socialists to intentionally mislead his viewers. How these progressive leftists idolize socialist dictators.
Of my friend, President Chavez. He is one of the most important forces we've had on this planet.
Like a sick Hollywood love story.
How long has it been? We can bring it back again. Anything to spend.
Yes, this is the left's real model, Venezuela. My wife Debbie was born in Venezuela. She now mourns that her once prosperous country is now in ruins. Many Venezuelans fled to America, like my wife's friend. Gabby Franco was the first female shooter to represent Venezuela at the Olympics. She showed off her skills on History Channel's Top Shot. She and Debbie are big fans of the Second Amendment.
One of the things that is, I feel, a parallel between the Venezuelan left and the American left is their obsession with gun control.
Venezuelan authorities has vowed to crack down on guns as a pillar of domestic security policy.
It's, you know, like everything starts with the lie. This is for gun violence control.
Safety.
And at the end of the day, how can people rise against the government when they are disarmed?
What's striking to me is the closeness of this gun parallel, but it's only the beginning of these parallels between the two countries. One of them would be identity politics.
Right, so Hugo Chavez won the election in 1999, and he was indigenous. Venezuela is a very multicultural society. It has Italians, it has Germans, but he felt like there were not enough indigenous people in government. It was too white for him. So he decided to demonize the white people in Venezuela.
Another parallel is the demonization of the rich.
Much of the attack of the rich was for those entrepreneurs making a living, selling goods and services. So he decided to put a stop to that, setting price controls. So it drove many businesses out of business and out of Venezuela.
What about wealth confiscation?
Hugo Chavez had a national television show where he showed walking down the street and taking any apartment or any house he wanted and giving it to the homeless.
And today, if you leave your home in Venezuela and you go abroad and you come back,
someone else will be in it.
For Ruben Barboza, the future looks bleak. Over the past 40 years, he's built up a thriving cattle and dairy operation in western Venezuela. But this month, Hugo Chavez's government expropriated 30 farms in the region, and his could be next.
I developed all of this using my own intelligence and my own labor. And now that everything is going well, the government comes along and steals it from me, strips me of my land and my ideas.
There are more than 100 people working here. If there is an expropriation, we're all going to be out of work.
let's turn to a different parallel, and this is the war on fossil fuels. How is it possible in a country that is so rich in resources that you would have electricity blackouts and gas lines for people to fill up the car?
Well, first of all, Hugo Chavez brought all his bureaucrats to take over. They had no idea how to run an oil company whatsoever. The American and British oil companies that were in Venezuela were basically run out.
All the engineers, everybody who knew what to do the job, they had to leave the country.
For fossil fuels, Hugo Chavez hated them, and he decided to do hydro energy instead. Venezuela had many, many droughts, therefore caused rolling blackouts.
Another parallel is the left-wing militants.
There is a group of criminals called colectivos in Venezuela, and they're very similar to our Antifa people here.
Colectivos got support from the government of Hugo Chavez, who work as the government's strong arm, intimidating and even killing members of the opposition.
Anybody raise their voice against certain ideologies of the government, they get terrorized by this group.
Le hago un llamado a los colectivos, a todos. Llegó la hora de la resistencia activa.
I grew up in a socialist country, India, which moved toward capitalism. And so India is doing a lot better. But Venezuela, which moved in the opposite direction from a capitalist society to socialism, seems to have crumbled.
This is how Venezuelans spend most of their time now, in line not for luxuries, but basics.
I moved from Venezuela to the Rio Grande Valley, and I thought I was moving into a third world country after coming from Venezuela because it was so wealthy. We had everything we needed and wanted.
It seems there's one class of people who are living pretty well. Who are they?
They're called the Chavistas. They're socialists. They kept their cars, they kept their way of life. They don't seem to have any problem with food shortage there. Hugo Chavez died a billionaire.
Under Chavez and now his successor Maduro, Venezuelan socialism started out as democratic, but quickly became authoritarian. Venezuela is where the Democrats are taking us, whether they admit it or not.
Today I ask every member of the Maduro regime, end this nightmare of poverty, hunger, and death for your people. Let your people go. Set your country free.
We've seen gun control as a socialist tactic in Venezuela. So how does the politics of gun control play out in America? Biden used to be a strong supporter of gun rights.
Buy a shotgun. Buy a shotgun.
Not anymore.
If I'm elected and I'm coming for you and gun manufacturers, I'm going to take you on and I'm going to beat you. I'm the only one who's done it.
And who does Biden want to work with on gun control?
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47.
They claim that guns are to blame for tragic events like this.
911, what is your emergency?
I think I hear gunshots.
Are you at the school?
Possible shots fired. 1200 building. I'm saying it's a male in a hoodie he could not describe with at least an AR-15, if not an AK-47.
I love you. I love you. It's going to be fine. Can you hide somewhere? Can you play dead?
My daughter has no voice. She was murdered last week, and she was taken from us. Shot 9 times on the 3rd floor. We, as a country, failed our children.
Andrew Pollack, a grieving father, has investigated the roots of the Parkland shooting.
There's not a moment that goes by that I don't think of her.
And your book is titled Why Meadow Died. Why did Meadow die?
They wanted to avoid and end the school-to-prison pipeline and end suspensions and expulsions. So they just wanted to stop holding kids accountable. In Broward, children were allowed 4 misdemeanors per school year without ever getting introduced to the judicial system.
Now, the shooter himself, he had a history.
My name is Nick, and I'm going to be the next school shooter of 2018. You're all going to die.
45 calls to this individual's house without an arrest. And this is after we already familiar with Columbine, Sandy Hook.
One of the things you say that I find very striking is the fact that the policies of the school had the effect of taking kids who were very disturbed and violent and classifying them, in a sense, as handicapped.
You could have a kid that's emotionally disturbed, or they call it oppositional defiant disorder. It's ODD, which is another word for like a psychopath that's a juvenile. And they label them special needs, and that's what makes them untouchable within the school district.
The man whose job it was to keep students safe was arrested today. Surveillance tape shows the school resource officer never entered the building as bullets flew.
In some of the video that I saw from the body cam, you can see a deputy getting out of his car, and you could hear the gunshots that could be killing my daughter, and he's taking his time going to the back of his car to put his vest on, and he never goes even in the building.
Do you think that if there was a coach or a teacher or teachers who were trained and armed, that your daughter might be alive today?
I know as a fact that my daughter would be alive.
What have you found the role of the media to be in covering these shootings?
They don't want to hear the truth, the media. And I almost feel like they gloat when there's a mass shooting. And that before the victims are even buried and the facts are out, they're blaming the president, or they're blaming the scary rifle. They want to attack the Second Amendment. That's their agenda. The Second Amendment means a lot to me now because, like I said, my daughter was on the 3rd floor and no one came to save her. A lot of times you call 911, it doesn't mean they're coming to help you. So why should I give up that right to defend myself?
Now we turn to the socialist left's biggest allies, Hollywood and the media. The left owns these megaphones which dominate our culture. Actor Isaiah Washington is best known for playing Dr. Burke on the hit show Grey's Anatomy.
So here you are, you're an African-American, you're a patriot, you're an anti-communist, you're a veteran, you're a lonely guy in Hollywood.
Yeah, I have no friends. I have no friends.
And here you came to Hollywood, you as an outsider.
I always knew that it would be very difficult for a personality like me to actually be in Los Angeles. I've always considered myself a Frederick Douglass Republican without a home. But actually, it's just destiny for me because now I feel like I am at home.
Are you saying that you feel more at home in the GOP as Trump defines it?
I feel more comfortable because Trump, yeah, I have to give the credit to the President Donald Trump.
What is it about Trump that drew you?
I lived in New York in 1988. I know who he was. He was a hero to me. He was a billionaire. Before he became president, he was someone you looked up to. Every rapper was singing about trying to be Donald Trump. I read The Deal twice, The Art of the Deal. I know it.
I'm assuming Hollywood has always had left-wing tilt. It seems like what's different now is not that Hollywood is left, but that Hollywood has become so insular and monopolistic about being left-wing that it actually terrorizes people or attempts to.
You have to understand that the majority of the people that are running Hollywood were abused in most southern states because of maybe their sexual orientation or being creative or being different. So they've been treated poorly and they've been pushed and they find themselves going to Hollywood to be more liberal, be more free. Everything is okay, no behavior, there's no boundaries.
The revenge of the hurt, right.
Yeah, revenge of the hurt.
Well, it also explains the sort of amoralism of Hollywood because when you feel repressed, then anything goes becomes a sign of freedom.
Good point.
Even more influential than Hollywood is the mainstream media. Trump calls them fake news.
The press has become so dishonest. Democrats, radical left, and their media partners standing right back there.
What is fake news? It's not just about bias. It goes much deeper than that. In the early 1970s, Saul Alinsky discovered that George H.W. Bush was scheduled to give a speech. Some activists wishing to protest Bush came to Alinsky for advice. Alinsky had a radical idea. An idea that would transform the tactics of the socialist left.
The people of the world agitate for free expression and free thought that only liberty allows.
Don't compare Bush to the Klan. Come dressed up like the Ku Klux Klan. The media will do the rest. Is there any limit to the deception of the mainstream media? When a presidential nominee is involved in a sex scandal, it's obviously a big story. Meet Larry Sinclair. What do you do for a living, Mr. Sinclair?
Currently, I run a nonprofit in Cocoa building affordable housing.
Now, in 2008, when Obama announced his candidacy for president, you made some explosive allegations about him that dated back to some events that occurred in 1999. Is that the year that you met Barack Obama?
It is.
Where did you meet him?
Outside of a bar in Chicago.
What were you doing?
I was on a night out. Had asked a limo driver if he knew anyone that would be interested in showing me around the town, and it was clear for the limo driver that I was looking for someone to enjoy the night with. The introduction was made through the limo driver.
And what happened?
We had a few drinks. I had made some comments about wanting Coke, so we got in the limo and left, and we started drinking. I started snorting. He started smoking. I actually put my hand on his knee and started to rub up his thigh, and I performed oral sex on Barack Obama. The following day, I actually get a knock on my hotel room door in Gurnee, Illinois, only to find Barack Obama standing in front of it. He had actually come back for seconds. I performed oral sex on him in the hotel room at the Comfort Inn and Suites in Gurnee, Illinois.
Were there drugs involved on the second night as well?
There was.
Who produced those?
He actually brought those with him.
Now, Obama at that time was a state senator.
I actually had no idea who he was.
And then when did you find out that it was Barack Obama?
Watching the 2004 DNC convention.
Thank you very much, everybody. God bless you. Thank you.
And it hit me, and at the time, I was just kind of floored.
Good afternoon. My name is Montgomery Blair Sibley. I'm the attorney for Larry Sinclair.
Now, you have this press conference.
I performed fellatio on Senator Obama in the limousine during the time Senator Obama was smoking crack cocaine.
After the press conference, you are arrested
by the D.C. Police Department upon the orders of Beau Biden, Attorney General for Delaware.
So this is Joe Biden's son, Beau Biden.
It is. Apparently, he had a grand jury indictment from 2 weeks after I went public on Obama accusing me of theft that never took place.
Shortly before you made these public allegations about Obama, you were contacted, you say, by a man named Donald Young.
Donald Young was the choir director in Jeremiah Wright's church in Chicago.
This is the church Obama attended.
Exactly.
And what did Donald Young tell you?
That he, too, had intimate relations with Barack Obama and had for years, and that I needed to protect myself, that they were going to come after me.
What happened to him?
He was shot point blank in his apartment in Chicago.
The murder was never solved?
No, it wasn't.
Donald Young's mother subsequently made a public comment, I believe reported in one of the tabloids. What did she say?
She wanted to know why her son had to die to protect his friend, the president, which was referring to Barack Obama.
Did you have this kind of a conversation where you describe what happened to you on any of the major networks?
No.
Did the New York Times or the Washington Post interview you?
No.
Have you heard of Stormy Daniels?
Who hasn't heard of Stormy Daniels?
On the alleged affair between Donald Trump and adult film star Stormy Daniels.
Please welcome Stormy Daniels.
Please welcome Stormy Daniels. Here we go.
22 million viewers tuned in to 60 Minutes Sunday to hear Stormy Daniels' story.
I hereby, along with my colleague Mayor Pro Tem John D'Amico, declare it Stormy Daniels Day in the city of West Hollywood.
What happened to Larry Sinclair Day? Whether or not you believe their stories, these two did not get equal treatment from the media. The power of the media is not just the power to twist the news, it's to make the news and even to fabricate the news. What's the solution? We have to create alternative forms of media, and we have to reduce the power of the media in our minds. Another ally of the socialist left is the deep state. The police agencies of government, the IRS, the FBI, the CIA, the DOJ. One of its early targets was Catherine Engelbrecht, whose organization, True the Vote, investigates allegations of voter fraud.
So you file your application for nonprofit status for True the Vote.
with the government. And then what happens?
Well, then suddenly, we began being visited by an alphabet soup of federal agencies, starting with the FBI, requesting to see member manifests, meaning that they wanted to find out who was attending our meetings and what we were talking about. That then moved to the IRS, who came in and began auditing our personal taxes and our business taxes. In a period of 18 months, I went through 23 different audits or investigations or inquiries, 23.
What were some of the things that the IRS wanted to find out about you?
They wanted to know every Facebook posting I've ever posted and every tweet I'd ever tweeted and everywhere I'd ever spoken since the inception of the organization and to whom and what I said and if I was going to run for political office and who was on my board. And they wanted to know things that amounted to opposition research.
Why would they target you?
I think they saw that True the Vote was going to, for the first time, ask the tough questions and ask citizens to take a look for themselves into an area that has long been the bastion of the radical left.
Did you realize even then that this mobilization of powerful institutions represented the weaponization of the U.S. government against you and what you were doing?
I didn't want to believe it, but it was undeniable.
Do you believe in the deep state?
I lived it.
The deep state's ultimate target is Trump. They've been talking about impeaching him ever since he ran for office.
I'm concerned that if we don't impeach this president, he will get reelected.
Because we're gonna go in there, we're gonna impeach the motherfucker.
He is a dictator. This must not stand.
He's impeached forever.
The organized attack on Trump began with a young staffer on the Trump campaign, George Papadopoulos. I met with him and his wife, Simona.
I want to talk to you about a series of characters who came into your life in those crucial months in the spring and summer of 2016. First, you ran into a fellow named Joseph Mifsud. Who is Joseph Mifsud?
Joseph Mifsud is the infamous overseas professor characterized by Bob Mueller and the FBI as a Russian agent. There could be nothing further from the truth.
Ironically, Simona, you knew Joseph Mifsud.
Joseph Mifsud is somebody who has many ties to intelligence, in particular Western intelligence.
So what you're saying is that Joseph Mifsud, far from being a Russian agent, is actually part of what you would call the
Western intelligence.
The Western deep state. So here comes this guy Mifsud, and he meets you.
Over brunch one day, he leans over in a conspiratorial manner. He tells me, George, I've just come back from Russia, and I've learned that the Russians have Hillary Clinton's emails. It's quite clear that he was an operative who was supposed to deliver this information to me with the hope that I would then transmit it to the campaign, which would eventually create a conspiracy case. I never told anybody on the campaign about emails.
So Mifsud exits the scene.
And so another character is now dispatched to meet you, Stefan Halper.
I didn't understand that he was tied directly and indirectly to the CIA and to the MI6.
What was he saying to you?
He was accusing me and Donald Trump and the campaign of working with Russia and WikiLeaks and to coordinate this email release. And what I told him, what you're talking about is treason.
You now encounter a guy named Charles Tawel.
He characterized himself as an Israeli businessman who knew about my work and wanted to hire me as a consultant. Immediately upon landing in Israel, I'm brought to a hotel where I'm in a room with Charles Tawel, and there's $10,000 in his hand, in cash.
So the money was ostensibly for this research that you were supposed to do, correct?
That's right.
You arrive later in Dulles Airport.
As soon as I land at Dulles Airport, I see a badge flipped out. So this is the FBI, come with us. 2 agents walk me into this side room. FBI agent 1 rummaging through my luggage.
Looking presumably for the $10,000, right?
That's absolutely right.
And did they find it?
No. And
why not?
They didn't find the money because I left it with a lawyer in Greece. I asked FBI agent 2, what's going on? What did I do here? This is what happens when you work for Donald Trump. The next moment I looking down, my hands are being put in handcuffs, my ankles are shacked, where I'm then taken to a dirty cell in Alexandria.
So you were drawn, Simona, directly into this plot in an encounter with the FBI. Did they want you to wear a wire on George?
Yes, they wanted me to cooperate with them and basically spy on them.
So, George, here you are under arrest. Charged with what?
Lying to the FBI and obstruction of justice.
What was the penalty?
35 years in prison.
So this is a story of how your own country's intelligence agencies, in cohorts with the intelligence agencies of other Western countries, conspired together to entrap you into making admissions that were in fact not true, with a view of using you against Trump. True or false?
Absolutely true. And the evidence backs it all up now.
Corruption in government goes all the way to the top, according to author and researcher Peter Schweitzer. Peter, when I listen to leading figures on the political left railing against multimillionaires and billionaires, you kind of get the impression that they don't care about money. But they do care about money, don't they?
Absolutely, and they show it in all sorts of ways, especially when it comes to their own finances. The Bidens have done very well, and Joe Biden's been very sophisticated and shrewd in the way he's done it. He's essentially offshored the corruption, which means he's been in politics, was in politics for more than 40 years, and during that time, his net worth really didn't grow. But what did grow was the net worth of his family members. A politician like Joe Biden, he has to disclose if he has $1,000 in General Electric stock. He has to disclose if he gets a $200 campaign contribution. But if his brother gets a massive government contract, if his son does a massive private equity deal with a foreign government, there's no disclosure requirement.
Let's track a little bit of the Biden family racket. Biden's brother, James Biden.
Go back to November of 2010, a guy named Kevin Justice shows up at the vice president's office in the White House. 3 weeks later, Kevin Justice appoints James Biden, who has no experience, as the new executive vice president of Hillstone, a construction company that he has just formed. Then 6 months, this new construction company lands a contract to build 100,000 homes in Iraq.
And what is that contract worth?
About $1.5 billion. During this time, Joe Biden was the point person on Iraqi reconstruction.
Now, there's another Biden brother.
I'm Frank Biden. I'm the non-attorney senior advisor to clients statewide.
So Frank Biden had been a largely unsuccessful real estate agent in Florida. His brother is elected vice president of the United States in 2009, and he decides he's going to get into the energy business. His brother, in the spring of 2009, makes a trip to Costa Rica, meets with Costa Rican President Arias. Within a couple of months, Frank Biden is in Costa Rica. He has meetings with Costa Rican government officials, and he signs an exclusive deal with the Costa Rican National Power Company for green energy projects in Costa Rica. His company, Sun Fund Americas, is involved in a project that includes $47 million in taxpayer-backed loans in Jamaica.
Let's turn to Hunter Biden. In 2013, Hunter Biden accompanies his father, Joe Biden, Vice President of the United States, to China.
Hunter Biden is there because he's trying to finalize this incredible deal. It's a private equity deal expanded to $1.5 billion. The Chinese government is putting money into this deal.
And is it a deal to invest in the Chinese economy in ways that are not typically open to Western investors?
Yes, this is the key. Hunter Biden has no background in private equity. He has no background in China. He gets a deal through the Shanghai Free Trade Zone that nobody else operating in China has. The Chinese have had a strategy throughout the Asia-Pacific region of striking deals with the family members of political figures like Joe Biden because they expect favorable policies in return. And if you look at Joe Biden's trajectory as an official as it relates to talking about China when he was a senator to now when he's vice president and then afterward, he has become incredibly soft in his criticism of China.
It is in our self-interest that China continue to prosper.
And I personally believe it is directly linked to the fact that his son was doing multiple deals with the Chinese government at the time that he was vice president of the United States.
Was there a Biden family racket in Ukraine?
Oh, absolutely. Go back to 2014. Barack Obama says, I want Joe Biden to be the point person for policy towards Ukraine, which means all aid dollars. Within 3 weeks of that appointment, a Ukrainian energy company called Burisma starts writing checks to the vice president's son. They were $83,333 a month, paid twice, because both Hunter Biden and his business partners are on the board of directors, and that amounts to $1 million each per year. These payments started in the spring of 2014 and continued for almost 5 years. And these 300-page documents show that's the amount that they were paid consistently every month.
Now, there was a Ukrainian prosecutor looking into all this. What happened to him?
We have a tape of Joe Biden bragging about how he gets Mr. Shokin fired.
We're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, what, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired.
Of course, Biden denies wrongdoing. The larger goal of the socialist left isn't just corruption or economic confiscation, it's to force you into conformity.
Take my...
As with coronavirus, the left starts with the repression of religious freedom.
Leave me on.
I interviewed Kelly Shackelford, the president of First Liberty, who has devoted his life to fighting for religious freedom.
The one thing that a totalitarian regime cannot allow are citizens who hold an allegiance to one higher than the government. So whenever you see that type of oppressive regime coming into play, the first flashpoint will always be religious freedom. I have never seen anything like what we're seeing now. Now we're seeing cases where the government wants to force people to violate their religion. I mean, it's the ultimate intolerance, and we've seen it in lots of examples. I mean, the wedding cakes, the bakers.
This is the Christian baker in Colorado who's forced to bake a cake, even though he believes that gay marriage is wrong, it violates his conscience, but they're going to make him do it.
We have clients from Oregon that had the same situation with custom wedding cakes. You'll find that in every case, they serve everybody. They serve every LGBT person. It's just when they're asked to endorse certain messages, they can't endorse that there's a problem. Do you really want the government to force people to say things they don't want to say? Does anybody really believe that the government should punish a black baker because he won't bake a cake for the Klan rally? They're trying to force people to engage in affirmative actions that violate their conscience.
Isn't this part of the political strategy of the activist left?
Yeah, it's the ultimate intolerance. The idea of trying to use the power of the government to force somebody who disagrees with you, that's as un-American as anything I can think of.
To me, the case of the Bladensburg Cross is a perfect representation of the absurdity.
Justices on the U.S. Supreme Court will decide whether a cross on public land in Maryland constitutes an illegal endorsement of religion by the government.
It's a veterans memorial that was put up almost 100 years ago by mothers who lost their sons in World War I and by the American Legion. But then, come along decades later, the American humanists said, hey, wait, you can't have this big cross on government land. Separation of church and state.
And if that point of view prevailed, couldn't one take the same logic to Arlington Cemetery?
Absolutely. One of the judges said, why don't we just cut the arms off the cross? Because that way we can keep it there and not have to tear it down, but, quote, nobody will be offended. Well, I think a lot of people would be offended. You would have to go into every community of every state of this country and tear down the crosses, the Stars of David, the religious symbols.
In a stunning victory for Shackelford and the veterans, the Supreme Court ruled 7-2 that the Bladensburg Cross must stay. This shows the importance of keeping the Supreme Court. Our basic liberties depend on it. The First Amendment protects not just religious freedom, but also freedom of speech. That's also under assault, as journalist Andy Ngo discovered.
Let's talk about the fateful day where you were covering Antifa. What happened?
While walking with the people who were demonstrating, they were chanting, "No hate, no fear." No hate, no fear. What happened next was complete anarchy and chaos. A group of people first hit me in the back of the head really hard. That knocked me forward. And before I could even catch my footing, then all the hits kept coming. When I thought the beating was over, it was just the first half. The second half was then the mob throwing hard objects at me. And at the end of the day, I ended up in a hospital diagnosed with a brain hemorrhage.
Here you are, you're not a fascist. What scares them about you?
Because I have dedicated my journalism work to exposing their violent extremism, exposing their links to the mainstream left.
When pushed, self-defense is a legitimate response to white supremacist and neo-Nazi violence.
They are strictly principled anti-fascists.
There are certainly aspects of them that are true to a cause. That is a good cause.
It says it right in the name, Antifa, anti-fascism, which is what they were there fighting.
The original Antifa started as a paramilitary connected to the German Communist Party in the interwar years. The original Antifa described themselves as anti-fascist, but what they really meant was that they were against those who were critical of communism. The original Antifa actually didn't oppose Nazis the most. Who they opposed was the Social Democrats, the center-left party, the liberals.
No Trump, no fascist USA!
Anybody who pushes back is deemed a fascist. Me, for example.
These socialist thugs are the true descendants of Mussolini's black shirts and Hitler's brown shirts. They exploited the injustice of the killing of a black man, George Floyd, to unleash a national wave of violence and terror. Trump declared them a domestic terrorist organization, putting Antifa in the same camp as ISIS and Al-Qaeda. The near enemy and the far enemy working toward the same end. The socialist left and the Democrats want us to grovel, to make us into worms. They want us to repeat what they say and believe it, even if it's 2 + 2 = 5. The British writer George Orwell, himself a man of the left, recognized that all forms of socialism become totalitarian. In his dystopian novel 1984, Lies Pass for Truth, freedom is defined as slavery, and the main character, Winston, is ground into dust by the all-powerful state, Big Brother.
The turning point has come. I shall save you. I shall make you perfect.
That was 40. You see, the dial goes to 100. You are clinging to a disease under the impression that it is a virtue. You prefer to be a minority of one. You also believe that the nature of reality is self-evident, but I tell you, Winston, that reality is not external. It does not exist in the individual mind, only in the mind of the state, which is collective and immortal. Do you remember writing in your diary that freedom is the freedom to say that 2 + 2 make 4?
Yes.
How many fingers am I holding up, Winston?
4.
And if the state says this is not 4, but 5, Then how many fingers?
4.
How many fingers?
4. 4.
How many fingers? How many fingers, Winston? How many fingers, Winston?
5.
You're only saying that because you want the pain to stop.
I want to see 5.
Are you trying to persuade me that you see 5? Or do you really want to see 5?
I can see them.
How many fingers am I holding up, Winston?
5.
We are not content with negative obedience, nor even the most abject submission. When finally you surrender to us, it must be of your own free will. Before we end the session, do you have any questions? It is switched off. Do you have a question?
What is 2 + 2?
Whatever the state says it is. Anything else?
Does Big Brother exist?
Of course he exists. The state exists. Big Brother is the embodiment of the state.
Does he exist in the same way that I exist?
You do not exist. Want a vision of the future, Winston? Imagine a boot stamping a human face forever.
Lincoln was a moderate man who found himself in an immoderate situation. The Democratic Party in the 1850s had become gangsterized. Lincoln realized he would have to do things differently. Early in the war, the Confederates passed an order that every black Union soldier captured would be executed. In response, Lincoln signed an executive order.
It is therefore ordered that for every soldier of the United States killed in violation of the laws of war, a rebel soldier shall be executed. Order of Retaliation, July 30th, 1863.
Why would a moderate man sign such an order? Because he recognized that he had to do to them what they were doing to him. Otherwise, they would never stop.
From sea to
Lincoln died defending the American dream against slavery. What price are we willing to pay to protect our American dream against the new form of slavery that is socialism?
Some capitalism with some basic socialistic program.
Oh, shut up.
Just as Lincoln stood up to the Democrats, Reagan stood up to the radical left.
This has to stop, and it has to stop like the day before yesterday.
Reagan lived in a different time, and a different tone was appropriate. If Trump appears to be a mud wrestler, it's not because he created all this chaos and division. It created him.
I think people have always seen me as a fighter. They know that I don't take a lot of crap from people.
I think a lot of people are tired of watching other countries ripping off the United States.
Next time they fire so much as a bullet at one of our ships, we ought to go in and take over their oil.
Trump's fighting spirit goes way back. He doesn't run from problems, he runs toward them. In 1991, Trump was out for a ride in the town.
Really intense.
Oh my God! Stop getting mugged!
Stop the car! Hey, put the bat down!
Call the cops!
I didn't do nothing, Mr. Trump.
What do you mean you're doing nothing? You're hitting the guy over the head with a bat!
Drinks in Metropolitan.
Marla, call the police.
My whole life I've been a fighter, and now I'm going to fight for you. We're going to fight.
He fights because he knows what's at stake.
America is the place where anyone can rise. And here, on this land, on this soil, on this continent, the most incredible dreams come true. This nation is our canvas, and this country is our masterpiece. We look at tomorrow and see unlimited frontiers just waiting to be explored. Our brightest discoveries are not yet known. Our spirit is still young. The sun is still rising. God's grace is still shining. And my fellow Americans, the best is yet to come.
With Trump as our leader, we will leave socialism on the ash heap of history.
This man is fighting for us, so I will continue to fight for him and to fight for what is right.
Are you going to give up?
Absolutely not. America's worth fighting for.
America is just not worth fighting for. I think it's worth even dying for.
I will never give up because life is worth fighting for.
I've never been more encouraged about what I see happening, the fact that I see us winning.
America was founded on liberty and independence, and not government coercion, domination, and control. We are born free, and we will stay free.